They said monsters hid in shadows. But Serena Vale knew the most dangerous monsters wore human skin. Every morning, before the sun rose over Obsidian Reach, she stood before a cracked mirror in her tiny servant's chamber. A single candle flickered, painting her face in uneven light. She pressed her palm to the cold glass, whispering the ancient words that bound her essence into human flesh. Her voice trembled as she whispered the last line of the incantation. It had grown harder over the years. Each syllable felt like dragging chains across her tongue. When the words were done, her reflection showed an ordinary young woman. Dark hair braided tight, skin pale from long nights of work, eyes the dull brown of river mud. No silver light spilled from her veins, no stars shone in her gaze. Just a servant girl. Just a nobody. She exhaled, though her chest felt tight, like she had been holding her breath for a decade. 10 years. 10 years of pretending to be human. 10 years since the world had burned her people, the Etherborn, until nothing but ashes remained. She touched her collarbone, remembering the night her mother's crystalline body had shattered beneath iron hammers. Remembering her sister's scream as holy water turned her to smoke. Serena had survived by folding herself small, hiding her infinite light inside fragile flesh, and running until she reached the palace gates. Now she lived as one of the lowest servants of Obsidian Reach. She kneaded bread, scrubbed pots, and carried water. They called her Lucky. Lucky to have a job within the Black Stone Palace. Lucky to eat scraps while others starved. Lucky to still breathe. Lucky, she whispered bitterly to the mirror, and the name tasted of ash. Her disguise quivered, the light beneath it restless, but she forced it still. The kitchens were already buzzing when she entered. The smell of yeast and roasting meat clung to the air, mingling with the sharp tang of soap and sweat. Servants darted everywhere like mice, hauling trays, chopping vegetables, arguing in hushed voices. Brannick, the thick-armed steward of the kitchens, spotted her immediately. "There you are, girl." His voice boomed above the chaos. "Late again." Serena bowed her head, hiding the flicker of annoyance. "I was fetching flour," Steward Brannick. "Fetching flour?" He snorted. "Your hands best be kneading bread, not excuses." "Yes, steward," she said softly, slipping into her station. She thrust her fists into the dough, kneading with a steady rhythm. The motion had become her prayer, her meditation. One of the other servant girls leaned close. "You really are lucky," whispered Mira, a freckled girl of 15. "If I had your post, working in the palace itself," she sighed dreamily. Serena kept her eyes on the dough. "If only you knew," she thought. Lucky. To live every day in fear of discovery? Lucky, to be the very thing your priests call an abomination? The heavy kitchen doors burst open with a bang. A gust of icy wind swept in, scattering flour like snow. Brannick's booming voice followed. "The king returns." The kitchen stilled for a heartbeat. "The king," Mira squeaked. "He wasn't expected for 3 more days." Serena's hands froze in the dough. Kalen Duskbane. The name struck like thunder through her chest. The Alpha King of the North, the shadow that ruled Obsidian Reach. A man whose wolf could smell a lie across kingdoms. A man who had inherited the throne 5 years ago after his father's mysterious death. For 5 years, Serena had kept to the shadows, avoiding him. She scrubbed pots during feasts, vanished into servants' tunnels when he prowled the halls. But sometimes, on nights when the wind howled, she had felt him. A pull, deep and terrifying, like gravity itself. And now he was here. "Move, move." Brannick bellowed. "Prepare the feast." The servants scrambled back into motion, but Serena's hands shook. The air itself felt heavier, charged, as though the palace had drawn a sharp breath and held it. "He cannot see me. He must not see me." She pressed harder into the dough, but her disguise pulsed beneath her skin. For 10 years she had hidden. But this morning, something in her bones whispered, "Today is different." The kitchens roared with activity, yet Serena felt every heartbeat echo in her skull. She tried to lose herself in the work, kneading, shaping loaves, placing them into the ovens. But her thoughts tangled like vines. Kalen Duskbane, the Alpha King, the cursed blood of the Dreadfong lineage. The stories about him spread like wildfire. Some claimed he could tear a man in two with his bare hands. Others whispered he carried the curse of the first wolves, creatures older than moonlight, born before the goddess tamed their hunger. His eyes, they said, could strip a soul bare. Mira leaned close again, her eyes wide with gossip. "My cousin saw him once," she whispered. "Said he was taller than any man she'd ever seen. Hair black as raven wings. And his eyes—" "Enough chatter," Brannick snapped, swatting the girl's shoulder. "Save your tongue for prayer. The king cares nothing for your daydreams." But Serena's stomach twisted. She did not need to imagine him. She had felt him in her bones, even without seeing him. His presence was a storm rolling closer, a tide she could not fight. The door at the far end of the kitchen opened. The sound of boots against stone echoed. Not the hurried patter of servants. Not the clanking stride of armored guards. This was different. Slow, deliberate, predatory. Her breath caught. The boots stopped just beyond the doorway. Then the handle turned. The kitchen stilled to silence as he entered. Kalen Duskbane filled the threshold like shadow given form. He was taller than Brannick, broader than the guards. His black hair fell untamed to his shoulders, and his face was carved of stone and shadow. But it was his eyes that froze Serena's heart, deep brown, flecked with molten gold, holding the weight of every secret ever whispered in darkness. Those eyes swept across the room, past cowering servants, past steaming pots and roasting meats, until they found her. Serena's world narrowed to that gaze. Her heart thundered against her ribs, too fast, too human. Her disguise quivered, the silver beneath her skin writhing in recognition. For a moment, neither moved. Then, like the crack of thunder, Brannick broke the silence. "Your Majesty." He bowed so low his bald head nearly touched the floor. We were not expecting your return so soon. Forgive the state of preparations. Continue your work." Kalen's voice rolled through the kitchen like distant thunder. It was deep, commanding, shaking the air itself. "I came to inspect the kitchens personally." A lie. Serena felt it like a blade through her skin. Kings did not inspect kitchens. Kings did not arrive at dawn to smell bread. He was here for something else. She bent her head, forcing her hands to move, shaping loaves as though nothing were wrong. But every nerve screamed that he was circling her, a wolf stalking prey. The sound of his boots drew closer. Each step was measured, unhurried, deliberate. "And what do we have here?" The boots stopped directly in front of her table. Brannick hurried forward. "This is Lucky, Your Majesty. Been with us nearly 10 years now. Makes the finest honey bread in the kingdom." Lucky. Kalen tasted the name like wine. "Look at me." It wasn't an alpha command. Those carried power that bent even the strongest will. This was something softer, more dangerous. A request that felt like destiny itself. Her hands trembled. Slowly, Serena raised her head. Their eyes met. The impact was instant. Like lightning striking stone, like rivers changing course. The air crackled around them, every candle flame flickering. Kalen's pupils dilated, gold devouring brown until his gaze looked like a portal into the earth's core. His wolf had risen. She saw it flash through him, amber burning in the darkness, before it sank back beneath his skin. "Interesting," he murmured, tilting his head as though solving a puzzle. "Tell me, Lucky, where are you from?" "The southern villages, Your Majesty," Serena said smoothly. The lie was polished, one she had spoken 1,000 times. "My family died in the plague 10 years ago." "The plague," Kalen repeated, his lips curving in something that wasn't quite a smile. His nostrils flared slightly, his body still as a predator before a strike. He knew. Somehow, impossibly, he knew she was lying. But instead of calling her out, he reached for one of her unshaped loaves. His fingers brushed hers. The contact lasted less than a heartbeat. But it was enough. Silver fire blazed through Serena's veins, her true essence surging to answer the touch. Her disguise faltered. For a single terrible instant, her shadow on the wall twisted wrong, stretching in impossible directions. She gasped, jerking back, dropping to her knees. "Forgive me, Your Majesty. I'm clumsy." "Rise." The command was soft but absolute. She obeyed on shaking legs, her disguise barely holding. Kalen studied her with terrifying intensity. Then he said, "You'll serve at tonight's welcome feast." Brannick blurted, "Your Majesty, she works the kitchens, not the dining hall." "Tonight she serves." Kalen's tone brooked no argument. His gaze never left Serena. "Wear something fitting for the high table." Her blood turned cold. The high table? Surrounded by nobles, advisors, and priests who hunted her kind for sport? Exposed before the entire court? Kalen turned to leave. But at the doorway, he paused. His eyes found hers once more. "Your shadow, Lucky," he said quietly. "You might want to tend to it." Then he was gone. Serena looked down. Her shadow writhed across the stone floor, stretching with long, slender fingers, reaching toward the place where Kalen had stood. Her disguise was weakening. Her decade of hiding was ending. The kitchens buzzed with fevered energy, but for Serena Vale, every heartbeat dragged like molten lead. The moment Kalen Duskbane had walked in, the air had thickened. He hadn't even spoken more than a few words, yet his presence bent the room. The Alpha King was not like other men. Even without shifting, even without claws or fangs, he radiated command. Servants bowed their heads automatically, shoulders drawn tight. No one dared breathe too loudly, as though his wolf might mistake a gasp for a challenge. Serena tried to disappear into the background. She shaped loaves, dusted flour across the table, and bowed her head until her hair fell across her face. But her shadow on the stone floor betrayed her, stretching toward him like it had a will of its own. Kalen didn't look at her again right away. He prowled the room, stopping at each station. "What spices do you use in this broth?" His deep voice rumbled like distant thunder. The cook at the cauldron stammered out the recipe. "And these cuts of meat, are they salted from the northern herds or imported from the coast?" The butcher flushed red. "And northern, Your Majesty. Freshly brought in from the markets this morning." Kings didn't ask such things. Not kings who had stewards and advisors and entire hierarchies of servants. Yet Kalen moved like a wolf circling a herd, asking small questions, lingering at tables. His eyes missed nothing. Finally, his boots scraped closer to Serena again. She kept her head down, shaping dough with trembling hands. The bread wobbled beneath her touch. "And what of you?" His voice was quieter now, but it sank into her bones. Serena's mouth went dry. She could feel his gaze fixed on her. Brannick stepped forward quickly. "This is Lucky, as I said, Majesty. She's been with us near a decade. Finest breadmaker in Obsidian Reach." Kalen's silence stretched long enough for her heart to nearly give out. Then, "Look at me." Her throat clenched. Slowly, she raised her eyes. For the second time, their gazes locked. She tried to hide it, but something flared in her chest. Something deep, ancient, dangerous. It was like drowning in molten gold, like falling into a pit she could not climb out of. Kalen tilted his head, studying her like she was a puzzle. "Your name is Lucky?" "Yes, Majesty." Her voice came out too soft, almost breaking. "Unusual." "It was given to me by Steward Brannick," she whispered. His gaze sharpened. "And before that? Who were you then?" Her heart hammered. "Serena Vale, daughter of the Etherborn, last of my kind." She swallowed the truth. "I was no one, Majesty. From the southern villages. My family died in the plague." He leaned in slightly. She could feel the heat of him, the wolf in his blood brushing against the fragile walls of her disguise. "The plague," he repeated slowly. His lips curved faintly. Not a smile. Something darker. How convenient. Her hands shook, dough falling apart between her fingers. Kaelin reached for one of the loaves she had shaped. His fingers brushed hers again, deliberate this time. Silver fire rushed through her veins. Her shadow stretched across the wall, twisting wrong, curling into jagged shapes that had nothing human about them. For one terrible second, she thought she would unravel completely, that her disguise would melt away in front of everyone. She stumbled back, whispering, "Forgive me, Majesty." Kaelin's eyes flickered gold, wolf surging in him, as though answering something in her. Then, with terrifying calm, he stepped back. "You'll serve at tonight's feast," he said. "At the high table." The kitchen erupted into whispers. A kitchen servant at the high table? Impossible. Serenia's blood froze. "Majesty," Brannick protested, bowing low. "She has never served nobles before. She is clumsy." Kaelin's eyes never left her. "She serves. Tonight." Then he turned to leave. At the doorway, he paused, glancing back at her. "Your shadow, Lucky," he said quietly. "See that it behaves." And then he was gone, leaving silence heavy in his wake. Serenia looked down. Her shadow stretched across the floor, long fingers writhing like they were alive, still reaching toward him. Her chest tightened. She forced the disguise to pull it back into place, trembling. The whispers in the kitchen were deafening. He noticed her? Why would the king choose a scullery girl? Lucky indeed. Serenia's hands curled into fists. No, not lucky. Not lucky at all. She had spent 10 years hiding in plain sight. But she could feel it now. The storm had found her. And storms did not pass gently. By the time the sun set over Obsidian Reach, Serenia's nerves were frayed to threads. The palace had transformed. Torches blazed along the walls, casting golden light across black stone. Servants scurried through the halls, carrying trays of roasted meat, spiced wine, sugared fruit. The smell of smoke and spice filled the air. Serenia stood in the corner of the servants' quarters, staring at the borrowed dress laid across her bed. Deep blue velvet, trimmed in silver thread. Far finer than anything she had worn before. Her hands shook as she pulled it on. It fit her too well. Too perfectly. As though someone had chosen it for her. When she looked in the mirror, her heart lurched. The disguise still held, but her eyes glimmered faintly. Not brown. Not entirely. Silver threaded the edges, like moonlight seeping through cracks. She pressed her palms to the glass, whispering the incantation again. Forcing the disguise tighter. Hold. Just one more night. Hold. Illyra Thorne, the head serving woman, appeared at her door. "Come along, girl. The high table waits." The great hall was already crowded. Nobles in gowns of silk and velvet filled the chamber, laughter ringing against vaulted ceilings. Musicians played soft strains while goblets clinked. Serenia clutched the tray in her hands, forcing herself to walk steadily. Then the herald's voice rang out. His Majesty, King Kaelin Duskbane, Alpha of the North. The doors opened. Kaelin strode in, dressed in black that drank in the torchlight. Shadows seemed to cling to him like a mantle. His eyes, molten brown and gold, swept the hall once before settling on her. Her knees nearly gave way. Beside him walked a woman in white robes, chains of silver and iron wound around her waist and wrists. Her hair was pale as frost, her eyes cold blue crystals. A pendant hung from her throat, a shard of crystallized etherborn essence, pulsing faintly with trapped life. The hall bowed low. "The High Seeress Eloan Draith of the Sanctum of Ashen Chains," the herald declared. Serenia's stomach turned to stone. The Sanctum. The hunters who had destroyed her kind. And here, their leader walked into the hall beside the king. She kept her head down, heart pounding as she took her place behind the high table. Eloan's cold gaze swept the room like a blade. "Your Majesty," she purred, settling into the seat of honor. "I am grateful for this welcome. The Sanctum has much to discuss." "Then discuss," Kaelin said. His voice was calm, but his gaze never left Serenia. Eloan smiled faintly. There have been disturbances, strange signs, children born with silver-flecked eyes, shadows moving oddly, iron growing warm without cause. Perhaps not all of the Etherborn perished in the purge. Serenia's hands trembled as she poured wine. A single drop spilled onto the white tablecloth, red as blood. Eloan's eyes snapped to her. "Careful, girl," she said softly. "Nervous hands often reveal guilty hearts." Serenia froze. Her breath caught in her chest. But before she could speak, Kaelin's voice cut across the table. "Low. Dangerous. Leave the girl be." The command was so soft most would have missed it. But the entire hall felt the shift in the air. Even Eloan paused, her smile sharpening. "Of course," the high seeress murmured. "A clumsy servant. Nothing more." The meal continued, but every time Serenia approached to refill goblets, she felt Eloan's gaze prick her skin. The pendant at the seeress's throat grew warm when Serenia drew near, glowing faintly, like it hungered for her. Halfway through the second course, disaster struck. Lord Varric Halden, drunk and loud, grabbed Serenia's wrist as she poured his wine. "Pretty thing, aren't you?" he slurred. Perhaps the king would share his servant. Heat rushed through Serenia's body, rage, unbidden and bright. Her disguise flickered. For a heartbeat, her skin shimmered translucent, starlight beneath. Varric recoiled. Her hand. "Did you see?" "You saw nothing," Kaelin said flatly. His alpha command rolled through the words, iron and thunder. "Apologize to the girl and leave." Varric fought the command, his face straining, before he mumbled an apology and stumbled away. But Eloan had seen. Her ice-blue eyes gleamed with triumph. "How fascinating," she murmured, rising gracefully. "Your Majesty, might I show you a demonstration? We have developed methods for detecting hidden creatures." Before Kaelin could answer, she pulled a vial of clear liquid from her robes. Holy water, laced with iron. Serenia's heart lurched. Eloan splashed the water on nearby servants. It soaked their clothes harmlessly. "You see," she said. "Harmless to humans." She turned to Serenia, hand lifting the vial. The world slowed. Serenia stepped back, panic surging. There was nowhere to run. No disguise strong enough. The vial tipped. The water arced through the air, glimmering in candlelight like falling stars. And then a hand shot out, catching it before it touched her. Kaelin stood between them. The water sizzled against his palm, burning flesh with the sound of meat on a pan. The hall gasped. "Majesty," Eloan began. "You forget yourself, seeress." His voice was ice and thunder, enough to still the room. His burning hand trembled, already healing. His eyes, golden now, locked on Serenia. "No one threatens what is mine." The words rang through the hall like a bell toll. "Mine." The declaration silenced the hall. Nobles gaped. Servants froze. Eloan's face darkened, her voice cold. "She is not human, Majesty. Surely you sense." Kaelin cut her off. "You've overstayed your welcome. Guards, escort the seeress to her chambers. She will remain here as our guest." Eloan's gaze locked on Serenia with pure hatred as guards closed around her. "The sanctum knows what you are, abomination. We will not stop." The chains rattled as she was led away, her words echoing like a curse. But Serenia barely heard. Her knees shook, her blood burned, her disguise trembled on the edge of collapse. Because Kaelin's words still rang in her skull. "No one threatens what is mine." The feast ended in uneasy silence. Nobles murmured to one another as they left, whispers curling like smoke. Eloan Draitha's absence lingered like a shadow in the hall. And through it all, Serenia Vale felt Kaelin's gaze follow her, burning, relentless. When the last goblet had been emptied and the last platter cleared, Serenia slipped into the servants' corridor. Her borrowed gown tangled around her legs as she hurried, heart racing. "Don't look back," she whispered to herself. "Don't you dare look back." But the weight of him followed. She could feel it. That pull she had dreaded for 10 years, heavy as chains, sharp as hunger. The corridor twisted through the black stone of obsidian reach. She ran until her lungs ached. At last she burst through a door into the palace's ancient library. Moonlight streamed through tall windows, falling in silver beams across shelves of dust-covered tomes. The air smelled of parchment and candle wax. Serenia pressed against the nearest bookcase, chest heaving. Her disguise flickered wildly, silver light bleeding through her skin. She clenched her fists. Hold. Just hold. Stop running. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Her blood turned to ice. He stepped out from between two towering shelves as if he had been born of the shadows. His black coat drank the moonlight, his eyes gleaming molten gold. His burned hand was already healed, whole and strong. Kalen Duskbane. Serenia backed away until her shoulders hit the shelf. You shouldn't be here. Neither should you, he said quietly. His gaze swept her from head to toe, not lecherous but searching, stripping her down to the truth. You don't belong among servants. Not with shadows that writhe. Not with blood that glows. Her throat closed. You don't know what you're talking about. Kalen moved closer, each step slow, measured, predatory. Don't lie to me, Serenia Vale. Her heart stopped. No one had spoken her true name in 10 years. She swallowed hard. How do you know that name? Your shadow told me, he murmured. And my wolf confirmed it. Her knees weakened. I don't know what you mean. He cut her off by stepping into her space. His height dwarfed her, his presence wrapping around her like a storm. He lifted a hand, not to touch, but to hover inches from her cheek. I've felt you for years, he said, voice low, dangerous. Like a pull in my bones. I thought it was madness. Now I know it was you. Her disguise trembled violently. Light leaked through her skin, stars flickering beneath the surface. She shook her head, desperate. No. You don't understand. I can't. You can't what? His gaze burned. Can't admit what you are? Or can't admit what you feel? Her chest heaved. There is no bond. Not for my kind. The Etherborn don't. His lips curved faintly, though there was no humor in it. Lie to yourself if you must, little star. But don't lie to me. Her breath hitched. I'm an abomination, she whispered. Kalen's gaze sharpened, golden light flaring. No. You're mine. The words struck her like a blade. Her disguise shattered. Light exploded from her skin, not harsh, but liquid, flowing like moonlight given form. Her hair floated as though underwater, shifting from dark strands into silver fire. Her eyes became endless depths, galaxies shimmering within. She stood revealed, the last of the Etherborn. The shelves around them trembled with the force of her release. She gasped, clutching her arms, unable to force the disguise back. Tears burned her eyes. You don't understand. If they find me, they'll kill me. Kalen didn't move away. Instead, he reached out, and this time his fingers brushed her cheek. His calloused touch burned where it met her light, but he didn't pull back. Beautiful, he breathed. She flinched. I'm a monster. You're not the only one, he said softly. Serenia's glow flickered, her fear unraveling her control. What do you mean? She whispered. Kalen's hand dropped. His gaze darkened, a shadow moving through gold. My blood is cursed, he said. I am heir to the Dreadfang lineage, the first wolves, before the goddess tamed them. We are not like the others. Her breath caught. The Dreadfangs. The monsters of childhood tales. Wolves older than kingdoms, said to hunger for blood and ruin. Kalen stepped back, unfastening the black clasp at his throat. You should see what I am, Serenia Vale. Then you will know why I saw you for what you are. Her pulse thundered. No, you shouldn't. But his body was already shifting. Not the smooth transformation of ordinary wolves, but something primal, violent. His bones cracked, his skin rippled, muscles twisting and breaking. His coat of black fur erupted like a shadow consuming him. When it ended, a beast stood before her. He was too large, too otherworldly to be a wolf. His shoulders scraped the shelves. His form radiated ancient hunger. His eyes burned gold, too intelligent, too human. Shadows coiled around him as if the air itself bent toward him. Serenia stumbled back. Her light flared instinctively, forming a barrier. "By the stars," she whispered. Kalen's massive head lowered. His voice came, strange and warped, from lupin jaws. "Cursed. Since birth. We heal from wounds that should kill us. But holy water burns us. Iron sears us. Monsters, just as your priests call you." Serenia trembled. Understanding struck her. "That's why the holy water burned you. Why you resist alpha commands. You're not fully wolf. You're something older." He shifted back, the monstrous form folding painfully into human flesh again. He knelt on the stone floor, chest heaving. His black hair clung damp to his face. "We are both remnants of the old world," he said hoarsely. "You, the last starborn. I, the cursed wolf reborn. Perhaps that is why fate bound us together." Her throat closed. "No. Fate doesn't bind Etherborn. We don't have mates. We don't belong to anyone." His gaze snapped to hers, golden flecks blazing in his eyes. "Then explain why my wolf howled for you long before I ever saw your face. Explain why your shadow reached for me when your disguise nearly broke. Explain why you shine like starlight, and I cannot look away." Tears pricked her eyes. "Because you're cursed. Because I'm cursed. That's all this is." "Then let me carry your curse," he growled, rising to his feet. He stood before her again, tall, powerful, terrifying. "Let me protect you, Serenia Vale, even if the whole world hunts us both." Her heart ached. She wanted to believe him, wanted to lean into the heat of him, into the impossible bond clawing at her. But she shook her head. "You don't know what hunts me. You don't know what I'm running from." "Then tell me," he said. His voice was steel. "Tell me everything." She swallowed. "My mother." Kalen stilled. "She didn't die in the purge," Serenia whispered. "She became something else. Twisted. Hungry. She's been hunting me for 10 years, feeding on Etherborn essence to keep herself alive. I came to Obsidian Reach because the iron wards of the palace hide me from her." Kalen's eyes darkened. "And now?" Serenia closed her eyes, light spilling from her lashes. "Now she will know where I am." The library's shadows stirred, shivering with cold. A presence pressed against the walls, hungry and searching. Kalen's hand closed around hers. Strong. Steady. "Then let her come." Her eyes snapped open. He held her gaze, unflinching. "Let her come, Serenia Vale. This time, you won't face her alone." And in that moment, for the first time in 10 years, Serenia felt something she thought she had lost forever. Hope. The library's silence shattered. Books rattled on their shelves. The tall windows trembled in their frames. Cold air flooded the room as though every door had been flung open at once. Serenia Vale stiffened, her silver light flickering across her skin. "She's here." Kalen's grip on her hand tightened. "Stay behind me." But it was too late. Shadows poured into the chamber like spilled ink, crawling along the floor and walls, devouring the pale moonlight. They rose into shapes, limbs too long, faces without features, mouths that opened in silent screams. The scent of burnt iron and rotting flowers filled the air. Serenia's breath caught. Shadow spawn. And at their center, floating above the stone floor, came Morwenna. Her form shimmered with a beauty that was wrong, too sharp, too bright. Once she might have been radiant, but now her light was cracked, leaking black fire. Her hair streamed like liquid silver, but her eyes glowed with predatory hunger. "Hello, daughter," Morwenna said. Her voice was sweet as honey, cruel as broken glass. "Time to come home." Serenia staggered back, shaking her head. No. Kalen stepped forward, shoulders squared, wolf just beneath his skin. Stay away from her. Morwenna's gaze slid to him, curious. Ah, the cursed king. How delightful. Half human, half wolf, and all monster. Tell me, does she know what you'll become if you let go? Kalen's growl rumbled low in his chest. Shadows bent around him, his curse coiling close to the surface. Mother, Serenia whispered, voice breaking. Why are you doing this? Because survival demands sacrifice, Morwenna said simply. I adapted. I fed. I became more than the Etherborn ever dreamed. And you, little star, you ran. You hid. You wasted 10 years pretending to be less than you are. Her corrupted light blazed. But no more. You will join me. Together we'll reclaim this world. Serenia's light flared in defiance. I will never become what you are. Morwenna's smile turned sharp. We shall see. The shadow spawn surged forward. Kalen shifted mid-step, his body tearing into the monstrous half-form of the Dreadfangs. Claws erupted, eyes blazing gold, teeth flashing. He met the shadows with raw violence, tearing them apart like paper. His movements were too fast, too brutal, every strike leaving ripples in the air, the curse spilling outward. Serenia raised her hands, silver light bursting from her palms. It struck the shadows, burning them back. Where her blood dripped on the floor, tiny blossoms of star-bloom violets unfurled in cracks of stone, glowing like lanterns in the darkness. But for every shadow destroyed, more crawled from Morwenna's body. The air shrieked with unholy sound. Kalen lunged at Morwenna herself, claws flashing. She lifted one hand lazily, and he slammed against an invisible wall, crashing into a bookcase. Cursed thing, she said coldly. Born of the first wolves. You should have died with your father. Kalen rose, blood running down his face, but his golden eyes burned. I am not so easily killed. Perhaps not, Morwenna purred. Her gaze swung back to Serenia. But you, daughter, you are fragile. I could end you with a word. Unless, of course, you choose to come willingly. Serenia's hands trembled. Her light flared against the shadows, but her heart pounded with fear. You don't have to do this, she whispered. You don't have to keep feeding. We could find another way. Another way? Morwenna's laugh was like breaking glass. Foolish girl. There is no other way. Power is taken, never given. The words struck deep, but Serenia stood taller, her glow strengthening. Then I will not take. I will never be like you. Morwenna's eyes narrowed, her corrupted light flaring like a dying star. Then you will break. The battle raged. Kalen tore through shadows, his monstrous form unstoppable, but the spawn reformed as quickly as he struck them down. Serenia's light held them back, but her strength waned. 10 years of binding herself in human flesh had weakened her essence, made her slower, dimmer. And Morwenna knew it. She drifted closer, her eyes fixed on Serenia. You can feel it, can't you? The hunger in you. The power straining at your skin. You're wasting away hiding in that fragile disguise. Let me teach you to use it. Let me make you whole. Serenia's breath came ragged. Whole. You're a hollow thing, feeding on what you cannot create. You devour. You destroy. That isn't wholeness. That's rot. Morwenna's lips curved. Words of a child who doesn't understand. But you will. When he dies. Her hand flicked, and Kalen froze mid-strike. Ancient power thrummed through the air, words older than kingdoms wrapping around him like chains. He crashed to his knees, his claws gouging the stone floor. His monstrous form writhed, fighting invisible bonds. Serenia screamed. No. Morwenna circled him like a predator. The Dreadfang curse still remembers the goddess's leash. My power bends it easily. She trailed one claw along his jaw, watching his body shake under the command. Such strength, wasted on resistance. But useful to me, if you surrender. Serena's light flickered wildly, tears streaking her silver skin. "Leave him alone. This is between us." "On the contrary," Morwenna said sweetly, "this is entirely about him, and about what you will do to save him." She gestured, and more shadows rose, binding Kalen's limbs, stretching him between them like prey on a rack. His golden eyes burned with fury, but his body shook with strain. Morwenna's gaze locked on Serena. "Here is your choice. Give me your essence willingly. Let me drain you properly, and I will spare him. Refuse, and I will peel him apart piece by piece until he screams for death." Serena's chest ached as though her heart would shatter. Kalen met her gaze, his voice rough with defiance. Don't you dare give her anything." Tears blurred Serena's sight. She stepped forward. "You'll kill him." "I'll make you watch," Morwenna corrected. Her smile was pure cruelty. "You will beg me to take you just to make it end." Kalen roared against his chains, every muscle straining. "Serena, don't you listen to her. She'll never stop. Even if you give her everything, she'll still kill us both." Morwenna's voice sliced through the noise. "Choose, daughter. His life for your surrender, or his death for your pride." Serena's hands trembled. Her glow flared and faltered. She thought of Kalen's burned hand catching the holy water, his voice claiming her before hundreds of witnesses. "No one threatens what is mine." Her entire body shook. She stepped toward her mother, silver light blazing brighter with each movement. Kalen's roar shook the shelves. "Serena!" "No." She ignored the tears spilling down her face. "You want my essence?" Her voice rang through the shadows. "Then take it." Morwenna's smile widened. "At last." But even as she moved closer, Serena's voice shifted into the old tongue, not to her mother, but to the palace itself. To the iron in its walls. To the wards forged centuries ago. The stones of obsidian reach groaned, answering her call. Iron energy flared, filling the chamber, making both Etherborn recoil. Morwenna's smile faltered. "What are you doing?" Serena's silver light blazed, dangerous as a star about to collapse. "Something I should have done 10 years ago." The air screamed with iron's energy. The wards of obsidian reach thrummed, answering Serena's desperate call. Morwenna staggered back, snarling, shadows writhing around her body. "You would use iron against your own blood?" Morwenna hissed. Serena's voice cracked, her silver glow flaring so bright the shelves around her caught fire. "I will use anything to stop you." The shadows surged again. Dozens of them lunged, claws stretching toward Kalen's pinned body. Serena spun, light bursting from her palms. She flung herself between him and the shadows. "Stay back!" The nearest shadow raked its claws across her shoulder. Agony ripped through her. She screamed, not in a human voice, but in harmonics that shattered every remaining window in the library. Silver blood poured from the wound, splattering across the stone floor. And where it fell, life erupted. Flowers unfurled from the cracks, pale and glowing, blooming in seconds. Star-bloom violets, their petals shining with moonlight, spread across the floor like fire-consuming kindling. The shadows recoiled, shrieking, unable to withstand the sudden purity of her essence. Kalen's roar shook the chamber. "Serena!" She clutched her shoulder, her skin burning, her disguise long gone. Her body flickered between flesh and starlight. The wound was deep, her essence spilling out faster than she could contain it. And the realization struck her like lightning. This isn't the first time. The children in the villages. The silver-flecked eyes. The iron tools that grew warm. The shadows that moved strangely. All of it had been her. 10 years of binding herself, of hiding her essence within fragile flesh, and still she had leaked. Slowly, quietly, seeding the world with her blood and light. Tears blurred her vision. "It was me." Kalen strained against the chains, muscles ripping as he fought. His golden eyes burned with desperation. "Don't you dare give up. Don't you dare, Serena Vale." Her knees weakened. The star-bloom violets spread wider, filling the room with soft, impossible light. Their glow pushed back the shadows, but each pulse left her weaker, fainter. Morwenna's laughter cut through the chaos. "Ah, so the world already feasts on you. Every flower, every child touched with silver. You've been spilling your essence all along. No wonder you're so dim." Serena's body trembled. Her hands glowed brighter, but her voice faltered. "Better to give than to take." "Foolish girl," Morwenna spat. "Power given freely is wasted. Power taken makes gods." Her corrupted form blazed, shadows swirling faster. "You are no star, daughter. You are nothing but a candle guttering in the wind. And when you die, I will drink your light and end this farce." Serena staggered to her feet, blood dripping silver down her arm. The star blooms spread behind her like a path of stars. Her eyes, galaxies deep, fixed on her mother. "You'll never have me," she whispered. But her legs nearly buckled beneath her weight. Her body was failing. Kalen's voice broke across the room, raw and desperate. "Serena!" She looked at him, and what she saw gutted her. The cursed king, bound and bleeding, his monstrous form shaking under invisible chains. His face twisted in anguish, his golden eyes wide with a fear she had never thought him capable of. Fear of losing her. Her heart ached. She wanted to reach him, wanted to tell him she wasn't afraid. But her voice broke. "I'm sorry." And her knees hit the stone floor. The sight of her falling shattered something inside Kalen Duskbane. For years, he had fought the curse in his blood, held it back with iron will, kept the monster leashed in chains of discipline and pain. But seeing her collapse, her blood turning the floor into a meadow of glowing flowers, he lost all control. His roar tore through the chamber like a storm. The invisible chains cracked. Shadows buckled. His body convulsed, bones breaking, reforming, reshaping into something that had no name. The curse he had hidden his entire life erupted outward. Not wolf. Not man. Something older. Something from before the goddess. His form expanded, towering, ripping apart the shadows binding him. Black fur rippled with veins of gold fire. His jaw stretched into rows of teeth sharp enough to crack stone. His claws gouged deep scars into the floor. His eyes, molten gold, endless, burned with wrath. The Dreadfang reborn. Even Morwenna staggered back, her corrupted light flickering. "Impossible!" Kalen's roar rattled the palace foundations. He lunged, not with skill but with raw, primordial fury. His claws shredded Shadowspawn, tearing them apart faster than they could reform. His very presence buckled reality, shadows unraveling in his wake. Serena shielded her eyes against the force of him, her breath shallow. Her light pulsed weakly, but she could not look away. The beast was terrifying. Terrifying, yet familiar. Her heart whispered what her mind denied. "He is mine." Morwenna rallied, her form blazing too bright. "You think your curse can stop me? You are nothing but a dog with broken chains." She raised her hands, speaking words in the old tongue. Ancient commands, the same that once leashed the first wolves. "Submit." The command slammed into Kalen like a wall. He staggered, his monstrous form straining. His body shook under the weight of it, golden fire flickering. Morwenna's laughter rang sharp. "Yes. The curse remembers. You are bound to the goddess's law, and I carry her command. Kneel, beast." Kalen dropped to one knee, his claws raking stone. His roar broke into a guttural snarl, fury straining against invisible chains. Serena's heart shattered. "No," she whispered, crawling forward on trembling limbs. "Not him. Not again." Morwenna's gaze flicked to her. "It's simple, daughter. Give me what I want, and I'll let him live." Kalen's molten eyes burned into Serena's. Even chained, even broken, they blazed with defiance. "Don't," he growled, his monstrous voice distorted and rough. "Don't give her a damn thing." Tears streaked Serena's face. She reached for him, her silver light spilling weakly against his shadowed fur. "I can't let you die. And I can't let you waste yourself," he snarled back. "Not for her." Morwenna's laughter echoed, filling the library. How sweet. How pathetic. Star and beast, bound by weakness. You cannot win. You cannot escape. Choose, daughter. Surrender, or watch him torn apart. The shadows surged again, dragging Kalen lower. His monstrous body shook, blood dripping in molten streaks. Serenia's body trembled. Her silver essence flared, weaker with each breath, but still burning. She thought of 10 years of hiding. 10 years of pretending. 10 years of chains forged by fear. She looked at her mother, at the corrupted hunger in her eyes. Then she looked at Kalen, kneeling but unbroken, his gaze locked only on her. Her choice tore through her like fire. She stood, light blazing brighter than ever, silver fire burning through her wounds. "You want me," she said, her voice shaking the walls. "Then come take me." Morwenna's smile widened. "Gladly." But Serenia lifted her hands, not to surrender, but to summon. The iron wards of Obsidian Reach shuddered, answering her call a second time. "Not this time," Serenia whispered. "Not on my knees. Not for you." And the chamber blazed with light and shadow both, the clash of star and curse spiraling toward a breaking point. The library quaked beneath the clash of star and shadow. Silver blossoms crawled across the stone floor where Serenia's blood had fallen, and Kalen's monstrous form towered like a god of wrath. But Morwenna did not falter. Her corrupted light seared the air, flickering black and silver. She raised her hands and spoke in the old tongue, words no human could understand, words that smelled of iron and eternity. Kalen's roar shook the shelves. His claws gouged stone, his fangs dripped molten light. He lunged at her, unstoppable. And then he stopped. Chains of pure force lashed from Morwenna's hands, wrapping around his neck, his chest, his limbs. They glowed with the binding words of the goddess who had once tamed the first wolves. The magic struck Kalen like lightning, knocking him to the ground. He crashed to his knees, the floor cracking beneath his weight. Serenia screamed. "Kalen!" His monstrous body strained, muscles bulging, claws tearing the stone floor. His golden eyes blazed, but the chains bit deeper, searing his skin. Morwenna circled him, laughter echoing. "Yes, I was right. You are no mere wolf. You are a Dreadfang reborn." Kalen snarled, straining against the bindings. His voice came guttural, warped by his monstrous form. "You will not touch her." "Oh, I already have," Morwenna purred, trailing her corrupted fingers along his jaw. The chains pulsed with every word she spoke, forcing his body lower. "So much power, locked in flesh. Imagine what I could do with you, beast." Serenia stepped forward, her glow blazing. "Stop. Leave him alone." Morwenna's gaze snapped to her. "Silence, child. This one was never yours to claim. He belongs to me now. He belongs to no one." Serenia shouted, her voice cracking with silver fire. Morwenna tilted her head, amused. "Is that what he told you? That you were his mate? How quaint. But bond or no bond, he kneels before me now." The chains jerked, forcing Kalen's head down. He roared, every muscle straining, but he could not rise. His molten eyes locked on Serenia, blazing defiance. "Don't," he snarled. "Don't give her anything." Morwenna turned back to Serenia, her expression almost gentle. "Daughter, you see the truth. He cannot protect you. He cannot even protect himself. But I can. Join me, and you will never need to hide again. Together, we could burn kingdoms." Serenia shook her head violently. "No. I will not feed on others. I will not become a monster." Morwenna's smile sharpened. "Then watch your cursed king die." The chains constricted. Kalen roared, his body convulsing under the force. Shadows lashed him, pinning his arms wide, his monstrous form writhing. Serena's light blazed uncontrollably, flooding the chamber with silver. Stop! Morwenna's corrupted glow flared to meet it. Choose, daughter. His death, or your surrender. Serena's chest heaved. Her heart pounded like war drums. She looked at Kalen, broken to his knees but unbroken in spirit, his gaze locked only on her. Tears streaked her cheeks. I can't let you die. Kalen's snarl softened into a growl of command. Serena Vale, listen to me. Do not yield. Her throat closed. Every fiber of her wanted to run to him, to save him. But his words rooted her. He would rather die than see her give herself to Morwenna. She stood trembling in a storm of light, her hands clenched at her sides. Her decision burned like fire in her chest. Serena raised her hands. Not toward her mother, not toward Kalen, but toward the black stone walls of Obsidian Reach itself. The ancient wards thrummed, iron energy waking like a beast disturbed from slumber. Morwenna's eyes widened. What are you doing? Serena's voice rang with the old tongue, the language of her kind. Her glow grew brighter, blinding. I call upon the wards. I call upon the iron that bound us. I call upon the stones that remember. The palace groaned. Iron lines flared along the walls, the floor, the shelves, webbing through the library like molten veins. The chains binding Kalen shivered. The shadow spawn writhed, shrieking. Morwenna's corrupted form flickered. No, no. Serena stepped forward, her wounds glowing silver, her body unraveling at the edges. She blazed like a star about to collapse. Iron doesn't just hurt us, Mother. In enough concentration, it strips us down to essence. Formless. Powerless. Gone. Morwenna staggered, shadows peeling from her form. You would destroy yourself too. Yes. Serena's voice held perfect calm. But at least I'll take you with me. The wards constricted, pressing inward like a vice. The corrupted shadows dissolved, the chains trembled, the very air seared with iron. Kalen roared, straining against the bindings. No. Stop. You'll kill yourself. Serena turned to him, her silver form flickering. Better me than you. Better me than the world. Her glow brightened to a dangerous brilliance. Star blooms erupted across the floor, the walls, the shelves, filling the chamber with impossible gardens of light. Kalen's fury broke through his monstrous snarl. Serena Vale. His voice shook the walls. You don't get to leave me. She looked at him, tears streaming down her shining face. I'd rather die free than live chained. Forgive me. And then she let go. Her essence exploded outward, a supernova of silver light. The iron wards blazed white-hot, consuming the shadows, burning into Morwenna's corrupted body. Morwenna screamed, her voice splitting the air. Her form cracked, black fire spilling out, her stolen essence unraveling. No. You are mine. Serena's voice rose, harmonizing with the wards. I was never yours. Her body began to dissolve into starlight, her shape fracturing, unraveling into brilliance. Kalen's roar shook the chains, his monstrous body breaking under the weight of desperation. His bond to her burned through him, agony tearing his soul apart. And in that agony, something primal shattered. He surged forward, not by strength, but by the force of their bond. The chains splintered. The goddess's command crumbled. He broke free. In a blur of shadows and fire, he lunged and caught her dissolving form in his arms. Enough, he commanded, not as an alpha, but as her mate. His voice shook reality itself. You do not burn alone. His curse, the ancient Dreadfang hunger, reached for her unraveling essence. He wrapped it in darkness, fusing it, holding it together. Her dissolving form flickered, resisting. Kalen, no. Yes, he snarled, pressing his forehead to hers. His eyes burned molten gold, filled with fury and love and desperation. You gave your life for me. Now I give my curse for you. Together, Serena. Together, or not at all. Her silver light trembled, wavering between dissolution and rebirth. She looked into his eyes and saw no doubt. Only forever. Together, she whispered. And their powers collided. Silver light and black shadow spiraled together, fusing. The iron wards didn't break, they transformed, shifting into something new, neither cage nor weapon but balance. The corrupted shadows burned away, Morwenna's scream vanishing into nothing. And at the heart of it, Star and Wolf held each other, their bond remaking the world. The chamber became a storm. Light and darkness collided in violent waves, bursting outward with every breath Serenia and Kaelin shared. The wards of Obsidian Reach groaned and shivered, iron veins glowing molten gold as their essence poured into the stone itself. Serenia clung to Kaelin, her dissolving body tethered only by his arms and his will. His monstrous form still lingered, shadows wrapped around his shoulders, claws black as obsidian, but within the fury, his eyes burned molten, unyielding. "You can't hold me," she gasped, her voice breaking into 1,000 harmonics. "I'm coming apart." "You're not going anywhere," he growled, his forehead pressed to hers. His shadow twined around her light, refusing to let her unravel. "You don't leave me. Do you hear me, Serenia Vale? You don't get to leave me." Her glow shuddered. "If you keep holding me, the curse will devour you." His lips curved, half snarl, half smile. "Then let it. If it means keeping you, let it take everything." Her chest ached, torn between terror and a love she hadn't dared name until now. Her hands, half human, half starlight, cupped his face. "You are mad." His shadow claws slid across her waist, pulling her closer. "Mad for you." The words, simple and raw, broke what was left of her resistance. She let her light surge toward him, not fighting the bond anymore, not denying the pull she had felt for years. The effect was instant. Her silver light poured into his shadows. His darkness wrapped around her glow. Instead of consuming, they balanced. Where her essence healed, his devoured corruption. Where his curse tore, her light wove whole. It was not destruction. It was not creation. It was balance. The library trembled, every star bloom violet blooming brighter. Their petals fused with nightthorn shadows sprouting from Kaelin's curse, two impossible flowers growing side by side across the broken floor. Kaelin's monstrous form shrank slightly, his body reshaping, no longer torn between man and wolf but something new. His claws gleamed gold-veined black. Shadows bent around him but didn't consume him. His golden eyes carried silver flecks now, shimmering like stars. Serenia's form stabilized too. No longer unraveling, no longer fighting to hold her disguise. Her silver glow remained, but threads of shadow wove through it, dark veins that steadied her brilliance. Her human shape became effortless, not a disguise but a true form. She exhaled a ragged breath. "What are we?" Kaelin's lips brushed her ear, his voice rough. "We are what the world feared, what it prayed for. We are balance, little star." Their bond pulsed between them, undeniable, alive. And with every pulse, the corrupted presence of Morwenna faltered. Morwenna screamed. Her corrupted light cracked and splintered, the black fire leaking from her body like tar. Shadows writhed, clawing at the air, desperate to flee. The balance Serenia and Kaelin created pressed against her like iron jaws, crushing every stolen fragment of essence she carried. "No!" she shrieked, her voice shattering the glass already littering the floor. "You cannot undo me. I am power eternal." Serenia's light burned steadier now. She stood tall beside Kaelin, their hands entwined. Her eyes, galaxies deep, fixed on her mother. "You are hollow, mother. You never created. You only devoured. And all things that devour themselves in the end." Morwenna's corrupted glow sputtered. Her face twisted, still beautiful but warped by desperation. "Daughter, listen to me. You don't understand what the world will do to you. They will hunt you, hate you, fear you. You will never belong." Serenia's throat tightened. Her chest ached with grief. Despite everything, some small part of her remembered her mother's arms before the purge, remembered lullabies sung in starlight. But that mother was gone. Her voice broke, soft but sure. I already belong with him. Kalen's shadow twined tighter around her, his golden-silver eyes burning with pride and wrath. Morwenna screamed, lunging forward. Her body cracked fully this time, shards of corrupted light splintering off her like glass. I will not be ended by you. The balance between Serenia and Kalen surged. Light and shadow fused, blasting outward. Morwenna's body seized, her screams splintering into silence. Her corrupted essence ripped apart, dispersing into the air. But instead of vanishing, it returned, not to her, but to the world. Her stolen power flowed into the star blooms and night thorns spreading across the floor, seeding new life instead of feeding hunger. Morwenna's form dissolved, her voice echoing one last time, "This is impossible." And then she was gone. Only silence remained. Silence, and the impossible garden blooming across the ruins of the library. Star-bloom violets and night-thorn roses entwined, glowing silver and black in perfect harmony. Serenia trembled, tears streaming down her cheeks. She had wanted to kill her mother for years, yet when the end came, all she felt was hollow sorrow. Kalen wrapped his arms around her, his shadows cocooning her light. "It's over." She leaned into him, sobbing softly. "I ended her." He tilted her face up, his thumb brushing away her tears. "No. You freed the world from her. There's a difference." Her lips trembled. "Then why does it hurt so much?" Kalen's gaze softened, shadows flickering across the silver in her eyes. "Because even stars grieve the dark that once cradled them. But you are not her, Serenia Vale. You are something new." Their bond pulsed again, steady, strong. For the first time in 10 years, she felt whole. And yet she knew the battle was only beginning. The sanctum of ashen chains would come for them. The world would not ignore what had just been unleashed. But for now, for this single fragile moment, light and shadow stood victorious. Together. The ruins of the library glowed like a dream. Star-bloom violets spread across the cracked stone, their silver petals shimmering with soft light. Entwined among them, roses black as midnight bloomed, night-thorn roses, veined with gold fire. The garden stretched where blood had fallen, where shadow had surged. Serenia Vale stood at the center of it, Kalen's arms around her. Her light pulsed faint but steady, no longer unraveling. His shadows curled protective and close, no longer wild and consuming. For the first time, they breathed in unison. "It's over," Kalen whispered, his voice low and rough. Serenia leaned into his chest, her fingers trembling as she clutched his tunic. "Is it?" Kalen's molten eyes swept the room. "Morwenna is gone. Her spawn dissolved. The wards are different." Different was an understatement. The iron veins in the walls still glowed, but they no longer felt like a cage. Instead of burning, their presence hummed with harmony, resonating with both her light and his shadow. "They've changed," Serenia murmured. "They're not chains anymore. They're threads. Binding, balancing." Kalen brushed his hand along the wall. His curse didn't recoil. For the first time in his life, the iron didn't sear him. He looked back at her, astonishment flickering in his gaze. "You did this." She shook her head. "We did." The silence that followed was thick with awe. But outside Obsidian Reach, the world was already stirring. Far from the palace, a boy in a shepherd's field woke screaming, his eyes glowing silver for the first time. In a village beyond the mountains, a child's laughter sparked a rain of tiny lights that danced around her fingers. In the dens of wolf packs, alphas felt their curses break, their chains of hunger dissolving. Across the realm, the ripple spread, fragments of balance awakening in every corner. Serenia felt it in her bones. She pressed a trembling hand to her heart. "They're changing, because of us." Kalen's expression hardened, thoughtful. "The world will not accept this easily." Magic shifting overnight. Children waking with star eyes. Wolves freed from centuries of fear. The sanctum of ashen chains will see it as heresy. Serenia's glow flickered faint. "Then they'll come for us." His shadows curled around her waist, anchoring her. His voice was low, dangerous. Let them. They will not touch you. She tilted her face up to his, her galaxies meeting his molten gold. They'll call us abominations. Kalen's mouth curved in a half-smile, sharp as a blade. Then let them tremble before their abominations. Her laugh was soft, broken, but real. She leaned into his chest, feeling his heartbeat steady against hers. For the first time in 10 years, she wasn't running. And yet, even as hope bloomed, she knew the storm hadn't passed. It had only begun. The next dawn came gray and cold, fog curling across Obsidian Reach. The ruins of the library still smoldered, the impossible garden glowing faint beneath ash. And into that ruin walked High Seeress Eloan Draith. Her robes of deep iron gray swirled behind her, her staff glinting with a chain of silver charms. Her face was carved of stone, eyes sharp and cold. Behind her came Sanctum acolytes, carrying blades etched with runes. Serenia and Kalen stood side by side at the heart of the garden. She in her true form, light soft but steady, hair gleaming silver. He still shadowed, monstrous power lingering in the gold-silver blaze of his eyes. Eloan's gaze flicked over the flowers, disgust tightening her lips. Blasphemy. Kalen's growl rumbled low. Watch your tongue. But Eloan ignored him, her focus fixed on Serenia. The hollow light is ended, yet her corruption lives on. You wear it. You flaunt it. You think balance absolves you. Serenia's throat tightened, but she did not look away. I am not my mother. Eloan's staff slammed against the ground. You are Etherborn. That alone is crime enough. Kalen stepped forward, shadow curling like a storm. Then call me criminal too. For she is mine, and I will burn your sanctum to cinders before I let you touch her. Gasps rippled among the acolytes, but Eloan only narrowed her eyes. You are cursed blood, Duskbane. You bind yourself to this starspawn, and you think you will escape judgment? Both of you are monsters. Serenia's silver glow flared. Then look closer. She raised her hand. Her palm gleamed, not with blinding brilliance but with threads of silver woven with Kalen's shadow. Together they pulsed, gentle and strong, balance incarnate. Eloan's eyes narrowed. Trickery. Serenia's voice softened, though it carried iron beneath. Touch it. The chamber stilled. Even Kalen tensed, his jaw set, but he did not stop her. Slowly, Eloan extended her hand, her staff trembling faintly. She let her fingers brush Serenia's light shadow threads. Her body jolted. Her eyes widened. She gasped. Visions flooded her, children with silver eyes laughing, wolves shedding chains, humans awakening sparks of long-dead gifts. A world not of hunger and curses, but of balance. She ripped her hand back, chest heaving. Impossible. Serenia's voice was quiet, but steady. Not impossible. Real. Kalen's growl cut through the silence. And if your sanctum cannot see that, then it will break on us. Eloan's eyes darted between them, fury and fear battling. She lifted her staff, the chain charms rattling. The law says you must die. Serenia's glow blazed brighter, her voice sharp as steel. Then let the law change. The star blooms beneath her feet pulsed, sending light rippling across the floor. The night thorns followed, weaving shadow alongside it. Together they wrapped around Eloan's staff, climbing like living vines. The seeress gasped, yanking, but the staff did not break free. The vines climbed her arm, glowing silver-black. Her cry rang sharp. What have you done? Serenia's eyes blazed galaxies deep. I have rewritten your chains. You are no longer hunter. You are protector. The vines sank into Eloan's skin, burning marks into her flesh, not to kill, but to bind. Her arm glowed with silver veins, her eyes flickering with starlight. The acolytes fell to their knees in terror. Eloan staggered, staring at her marked arm. Her voice broke, horrified. You've cursed me. Serenia's glow softened. No. I've given you what you never sought. Balance. Use it, or be consumed by it. That is your choice now. Eloan looked at her, fear and fury warring, but beneath it something else, awe. And for the first time, the high seeress bowed. Not willingly, not yet, but inevitably. Kaelin's arm wrapped around Serenia's waist, pulling her close, his voice low with pride. You didn't just survive them. You bent them. Serenia's eyes shimmered with tears, but her voice was steady. No more hiding. No more chains, Kaelin agreed. The dawn outside brightened, pale sunlight spilling into the ruins. And for the first time in centuries, it felt like a beginning, not an ending. Obsidian Reach had never looked like this. Where once its halls had been black stone and iron chains, now gardens bloomed across the palace walls. Star-bloom violets spilled silver light from the cracks, their glow soft as moonfire. Entwined with them, night-thorn roses grew dark and rich, their thorns veined with molten gold. The impossible flowers pulsed with life, breathing as though the palace itself had awakened. In the great hall, nobles gathered uneasily, wolves prowled in restless circles, and villagers from beyond the palace walls stood shoulder to shoulder, their wide eyes reflecting silver. Whispers filled the air. They say the hollow light is dead. They say the cursed king has bound himself to the last starborn. They say the wards of iron have become something else. At the far end of the hall, Serenia Vale walked beside Kaelin Duskbane. She was no longer cloaked in disguise. Her hair shimmered silver, her skin glowed faintly, galaxies flickering in her eyes. But threaded through her light were veins of shadow, steady and grounding. Beside her, Kaelin walked tall and unyielding. His black coat billowed like storm clouds, his eyes molten gold streaked with silver. Shadows curled faintly around him, no longer wild but tethered, shaped. He looked every inch a king, not cursed, but inevitable. Together, they stepped onto the dais where twin thrones of obsidian stood. Gasps rippled as Kaelin lifted a crown wrought of black metal veined with gold fire. It had belonged to his ancestors, each one cursed by the dread Fong blood. But when he set it upon his head, the crown flared, silver threads weaving through it as if acknowledging the balance. Then he turned to Serenia. In his hands, he held a circlet that had not existed before. Forged in the wake of their bond, it gleamed silver and shadow, a crown woven of light and night both. Its centerpiece was neither jewel nor metal, but a living star-bloom and night-thorn entwined, glowing together. His voice carried through the hall, deep and rough. Serenia Vale, last of the Etherborn. No longer hidden, no longer bound. Stand with me as Queen of Balance, ruler of this age beside me. Serenia's throat tightened. 10 years of fear, 10 years of hiding, 10 years of shame. All of it melted beneath the weight of his words. She lifted her chin, her voice steady and strong. I do not stand beside you because of your crown, Kaelin Duskbane. I stand beside you because you are mine, and I am yours. Together, light and shadow, balance and bond. The hall shivered with the force of her words. Kaelin set the crown upon her head. Silver fire and shadow flared, spilling across the hall. The nobles dropped to their knees. Wolves bowed their heads, their eyes gleaming with freed power. Even the villagers bent low, silver light flickering in their gazes. For the first time, they did not kneel to fear. They knelt to something new. The crown of night and star. Kaelin reached for her hand, twining his fingers with hers. His golden-silver eyes burned as he whispered, only for her, mine. Serenia's galaxies shimmered with tears, and her lips curved. Always. And in the bloom of impossible flowers, under crowns of shadow and starlight, the cursed king and the hidden daughter were crowned not as monsters, not as fugitives, but as rulers of a new age. Years later, the world no longer looked the same. In the highlands, children were born with silver-flecked eyes, their laughter sparking harmless bursts of light. In wolf packs, the hunger of the curse had dissolved, leaving their shifts free, their forms unbound by pain. In human villages, farmers sang to their fields, and crops bloomed faster, touched by threads of etherborn essence. Balance spread quietly, steadily. Not without struggle, there were still those who whispered of abominations, who clung to the old chains of fear. But the change could not be stopped. At Obsidian Reach, the gardens of light and shadow grew larger each season. The palace walls bloomed with living symbols of the union that had reshaped the world. Star-bloom violets and night-thorn roses entwined, glowing together even in the darkest night. Serenia Vale walked those gardens often, her silver hair trailing behind her, her glow soft and calm. No longer did she bind herself in human disguise. No longer did she whisper to the dawn for safety. She walked openly, unashamed, her power no longer something she hid. Kalen often walked with her, shadows curling lazily around him like tame smoke. His curse had not vanished, but it had been transformed, woven into something steady and whole. His golden-silver eyes watched the world with equal parts wariness and wonder. One evening, as the sun bled into twilight, Serenia stood at the highest balcony, gazing across the blooming lands. Children's laughter echoed faintly from the courtyards below. Wolves howled, not with hunger, but with joy. Kalen came up behind her, his arms slipping around her waist. "You're brooding again." She smiled faintly, leaning against him. "I was remembering." His eyebrow arched. "Remembering what?" Her eyes shimmered with galaxies. 10 years I spent pretending to be human. 10 years hiding, binding myself until I thought I'd disappear. And now—" she gestured to the gardens, the laughter, the light. "Now I wonder why I ever thought the world could not bear what I am." Kalen's shadows curled around her like a second embrace. His voice was low, rough, tender. "Because the world taught you to fear yourself. But you never had to hide from me." Her chest ached softly, in the way love always did. She turned to him, brushing her fingers along his jaw. "And you? Do you still fear what you are?" His lips curved into a wolf's grin, sharp and sure. "Not anymore. Not when you stand with me. Shadow without star is ruin. But with you—" he kissed her forehead, his breath warm against her skin. "With you, I am whole." Her eyes closed, tears shining like silver. "Together," she whispered. He held her tighter. "Always." The last light of the sun gave way to night, but the gardens below glowed, silver and shadow, violet and rose, light and dark entwined. And Serenia knew with certainty. The age of hiding was over. The age of balance had begun. The age of hiding is over, but our journey together has only just begun. If you felt the pulse of this story, let your voice be heard. Like, share, and leave your mark in the comments. And if you crave more tales of shadow and starlight, don't vanish into the night. Subscribe and walk with me into the next chapter.